Again, some introductions. My name is Clark. I'm a museum guide here at Griffith Observatory. I give presentations on a big scale like this, and I also spend a lot of time just standing around waiting for people to ask me questions. That's our cue. No, sorry. Question? No. I don't know everything, but I can give it a shot. I have a good imagination to make things up pretty quick. No, I wouldn't do that to you. You can ask me anything you want. Or we can just hang out. It's fine. Is anyone from out of town right now? Any Wisconsin or Oregon fans out there? Where are you guys from?
Portland.
Portland. Well, congratulations.
What are you going to show us today?
I'm going to give a 25-minute presentation about the search for alien life in the universe and what that actually means. And yes, there will be some comments at the end. Originally, the show was developed 5 or 6 years ago, when a lot of astronomers thought that the only reason we have water on this planet is because comets crashed into us and deposited that water. Nowadays, most astronomers think there's too much water here for it to all have come from comets. But at least some of it did, and a lot of the other things that are important for life were delivered to Earth by comets. So that's kind of our tie-in, even if today comets aren't really responsible for all of it. They're at least responsible for some. That's the tie-in. But yeah, it's actually more about the search for aliens. Are you recording me right now?
Have they ever found it?
Maybe.
Not yet. So far, no life outside of Earth.
Do we really have to search, or will they just show up?
Hopefully, we'll find them before they find us. But fingers crossed. When I did this show at 2 o'clock, somebody in the audience asked me if we should be looking for them. And I didn't really know how to answer it. Historically speaking, when one civilization finds another civilization, it doesn't go well for one of the civilizations. So
I think probably, basically, if you're not looking for it, that's when it shows up.
It's always the last place you look, too. But we haven't found it yet. That's what we do know. We haven't found it. But we are still looking. SETI is not getting any government funding. That's the Search for Extraterrestrial Life. If you've seen the movie Contact, that is a real group. They sit around all night listening to radio transmissions, hoping to make some patterns out of it. It's a real idea. They are still out there. Even if they're not getting government funding anymore, they still sit around listening to static. And depending on who you ask, that's an important thing to do or not. Not only is it rare for there to be life, it certainly is. And intelligent life is even harder to find than that. But that intelligent life not only has to be sending out radio transmissions, which, as our civilization, we've only been doing for about 100 years, but they can't be so advanced that they can be good at it. Here's what I mean. Our civilization found radio transmission. They started sending out radio transmissions into the universe by accident. We were sending radio signals to each other, it would float off into space. But nowadays, we don't want to waste energy. We don't want to waste electricity, we don't want to waste effort, so they're tuning in those radio frequencies better. They're not sending as much into outer space as we did in the 1950s. If there is an intelligent life form, if it is sending out radio broadcasts, wouldn't they also be smart enough not to waste energy sending it to space? SETI is still looking, but I don't think they're going to find it in my lifetime. But that's exactly what this show is about. Whether we should be looking and what we found. Because we have actually found some stuff. Not life, not yet, but closer than you think. There really could be alien life. Anything else you'd like to ask? Alright, I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to get some water. Is it poisonous? It's only one way to find out.
That's not.
That's not how you find out. I mean, that is one way to find out. That's not how you should find out. But no, carbon dioxide is not poisonous, and I knew that already going in. If you were inside of a room and there was no oxygen, there was just carbon dioxide, you would suffocate. But that's not the carbon dioxide's fault, that's just the lack of oxygen. Carbon dioxide is not poisonous. What about carbon monoxide? That is actually poisonous to you. What happens when you get carbon dioxide inside of you? It holds on to your red blood cells and it doesn't let go. The red blood cells are the part of your blood that carries oxygen throughout your body. So even if you had oxygen inside of your lungs, it wouldn't get to your brain because of those carbon monoxide molecules. Symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning include becoming red in the face and arguing with your family for no real reason. That's true. If you're in a really bad mood, go get some fresh air. It really might help. Check the carbon monoxide detector too. But yes, carbon monoxide poisoning, very, very deadly. Carbon dioxide by itself is not a problem. Lack of oxygen, that is a problem. But this stuff, not bad. It does make the drink taste a little weird, so don't go throwing this into your party drinks and your punch and expecting it to not taste weird. It will. But there's a good chance you've had some of this to drink already today. If I drop a little red food coloring in here, some high fructose corn syrup, that's soda. That's all it is, carbonated water. And that's why it tastes weird. Without the high fructose corn syrup, it does taste kind of bad. But again, it's not poisonous.
What's colder
What's colder than what?
than liquid nitrogen?
Liquid hydrogen would be the coldest thing. It's the hardest thing to condense down into a liquid, is hydrogen. There's 3 different temperature scales. You've probably heard of them. Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. Kelvin is the absolute temperature scale. There are no negative temperatures in Kelvin. Absolute zero in Kelvin is the absolute lowest temperature theoretically possible, and they have not gotten that cold yet. They can get very close to absolute zero, but they have not reached it yet. And you can't go zero. You can't go negative on the Kelvin scale. But this again, still pretty cold. 109 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit would be what Kelvin? I don't have a calculator with me, it's going to be kind of tough. To go from Fahrenheit to Celsius, I believe you multiply by 5/9. Is anyone going to agree with me?
Yep, plus 30.
Times 5 divided by 9 plus 32.
failed science.
So take negative 109, do that to it, and you have Celsius. Subtract 273, and you have Kelvin. Again, I don't have a calculator, and I'm not that smart. Let's see. Fahrenheit degrees cover the same
Just made an
distance
announcement
in
that-
more steps. So a Fahrenheit degree is a smaller division than a Celsius degree. So we need to 5 minutes. Plus 3.
What is Area 51?
Seriously?
Area 51 is actually a government base, I think it's Air Force, in the middle of the desert in Roswell or something close by. I grew up with a friend who was very much into conspiracy theories, so I do know what this is. There was something that happened in the early 50s in that part of the world. The government, nowadays, our U.S. federal government, has released a statement. And what their statement says is that they were working with a new type of weather balloon that would hold a radar device. They sent this radar balloon up, it crashed, some pieces were found, and they had a cover-up on their hands. There was a real U.S. cover-up for Area 51 because we were in the Cold War, and we didn't want the Soviets to find out what we were doing in the desert. They say that it was a radar balloon. Some people say that it was an alien spacecraft. Sorry, but I tend to believe the U.S. federal government on this one. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do think that it was just some kind of new radar-type thing that they were working on, that when it crashed and there were pieces found, they didn't want to admit what they were doing. They didn't want other governments to know what they had, so they lied about it. But then they later said what it really was. But I don't think it was aliens. Every few months, a story will come out about some big chunk of rock that's floating around and it might kill us. They're still out there, giant chunks of rock, size of football stadiums, that if they came in and hit our planet, might not destroy everything, but if they hit a city, it would be very, very bad. A few months ago, a chunk of rock that size got closer to us than the moon is, and that's fairly close as far as astronomy goes, and they can get closer than that. But the reason that I know about this is there's amateur astronomers who spend all night, every night, trying to be that person that finds that chunk of rock. People want to be that person. People spend their time looking. If an alien spacecraft were to come into our solar system, we would know about it long before it got to our planet. Space is big, and you can see things. It'd be like trying to ambush someone who is standing in an open field. You just can't sneak up on them. They can see you, and we can see into the solar system. Sure, maybe they have some alien space technology that means they're invisible to us, That's a possibility, but I don't think that we've been visited by aliens. I just don't. Even if the pyramids are impressive structures, even if we don't know exactly how they did it, it's still far more likely that they had technology we forgot about than aliens came here without us knowing.
Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to do this, but I have to ask everyone to stand up and move to the center of the theater. Angelica's telling me we have a lot of people trying to get in here. We're going to pack you in like sardines. And either move now or